Day 30 of the January transfer window. That's right, just one full day left of the window, and Newcastle United have finally done something. They haven't bought anyone, but they've sold 2 players just today. We're going to talk about that in this video. And does the fact that we finally let somebody go this window give you some hope that we could bring somebody in before the clock strikes 12 tomorrow? You let me know down in the comments below. That's right. Welcome back to a new video on a chilly, sunny day in Newcastle. As I say, the January transfer window has been tough to take. I'm gonna be honest, and I don't think that's just Newcastle. I think it's been across the board. PSR, FFP has been getting it from all angles, from most clubs. Not everyone, obviously. Man City are still buying loads of players. Arsenal, just casual £60 million bids for Anthony Watkins. Aston Villa being forced to sell Duran to Saudi Arabia for 70 million. And that's the thing, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Forest, these kind of teams are all trying to sell this window. And it's been hard. It's been tough to take because it's not what you want to see. But as I say, Miguel Almiron is out the door. If I'm perfectly honest, I had to take 5 minutes to scroll back through Newcastle's Twitter feed to check whether it had actually gone yet or not, because there's been so little going on for Newcastle in this past week. All we've been talking, and it's lovely, in fairness, all of the well wishes to Miggy leaving, I think it was just time to leave. I think we've got a decent fee in 10 million for a player that really doesn't even get off on the pitch whatsoever at the moment. Even if we don't replace him, which I hope we might, there's still a little bit of creeping hope in there that we will do something about that right wing position before the end of this window. Can Newcastle have something going on this time tomorrow? I would really hope so, but even if we don't, it's a player who isn't seeing any game time. So to get 10 million, half the money back for what we paid for him 5-6 years ago, I don't think that's bad. Was it 20 we paid? Can't even remember. But anyway, I think we've got a decent fee for him. And then, outside of that, there's really been nothing happening in the last week. Miley has left. That was reported today. He has gone to Hartlepool. He was recalled from loan and then sold. And well, obviously, he's part of the Miley dynasty. All of the Miley brothers. We've got the pair of them: Lewis Miley, Jamie Miley, the youngster down in the academy as well. If I'm not mistaken, there's a fourth brother up and coming as well. So yeah, all the Mileys. But I think it's if Newcastle thought it was time for him to go, then that's fine. He was on loan at a lower league side. I don't necessarily think he was lighting it up over there. But if I'm honest, I'm looking at, and I doubt we would have got much from him from Hartlepool as well. Let the record be shown. But I guess it's like Newcastle kind of scrimping and saving. Like, this player's on loan, but can we get a fee for him? And the time he had at Newcastle on the pitch, I thought he looked all right. I don't think he was possibly ready for first team football, and maybe by the age of 21, 22 these days, if you're not ready, you're not ready. And maybe that's why Newcastle decided to pull him out of his loan and then sell the guy. So that's Miggy and Miley gone, but there's still links to other players leaving before the end of this window. As I say, when you talk about teams buying players, Newcastle, really, our whole window has been linked to Almiron leaving, Kelly leaving. The newest one is Matty Targett leaving, Leeds being linked to him. Again, in fairness, I think that wouldn't be a bad move if Newcastle could move him off the books. A high wage player who's getting really no game time at all, but it's thought that Leeds are looking to pull the plug on that because they can't afford his wages. You've also got Sean Longstaff who's being linked away, which I appreciate that he hasn't had a couple of great games of late, and once again, it's because he's a homegrown kid. But I just can't see it happening. In what world is, fair enough, the club might go, look, Sean, you're not getting loads of game time. In what world, when we are this close to like a Carabao Cup final, in what world is he going to give up his chance to win like Newcastle's first trophy as a Geordie in however many years? He might go, you know what, I might be sat on the bench for it, but I was part of it. If Longstaff's going to leave, I think it's the summer. I really cannot see in what world, but in the next 24 hours, even if he's not going to get offered more money really elsewhere, I don't think. The only reason he would agree to go is to go and get first team football. But I don't think he'll get to play for a Premier League team at the level Newcastle are and get as much game time as he gets at Newcastle without moving far down the league. So I just can't see that one happening. But That's the false frustration. I think we've done it. My critique, and look, there's still time to go, we'll talk about that in a second. I guess my critique of the window is we've done a few things that have been good. I think letting Miggy go, I think if Jamie Miley's not going to get game time, letting him go is fair as well. I think if we're still talking about letting players go, I think we should have been riskier. I think we should have let a Kelly go for 15 million to Juventus. You know, arguably fourth, fifth choice centre-back. And when we're so indebted to this FFP, I think that's a move we should have made. And you know, if you're talking about having money to spend in the final hour of this window to bring in a right winger to replace Miggy, to do something, then I think letting go or being more open to allowing. You know, obviously we kept Dubravka. He was in the headlines for the first 2 weeks of the January window. Like, it just shows what we've had to struggle with this window, when the first 2 weeks was about the Dubravka leaving, our 36-year-old second-choice goalie, and the second 2 weeks of the January transfer window was talking about Almiron leaving. Like, it's been great, as I say, seeing all of the well wishes for him over the last week or so. But, like, it's been a slow news day, you know what I mean, in the world of Newcastle transfers. Like, I want to be talking about players Newcastle are being linked with and what we're going to go and do, and it just totally hasn't happened. But and if we wanted something to happen, I think we've missed. I'm hoping we haven't, but I'm feeling like we've missed the boat. Like, why didn't we let Kelly go? Why didn't we push harder to let one of us? Fair enough, we'll keep Dubravka, great form. Vlaco Dimos being linked to Saudi Arabia, apparently that was just cut straight in the bud. Like, what? Really? Like, he's got nowhere near the team. I think that's something that we should have pursued harder on. So, yes, we've let a few players go. We'll let a couple of players go. I guess there's some credit due there. But I think we should have worked harder to let more players go, and undoubtedly worked harder to bring somebody in. It's an expensive window. Look, there's nothing going on. Like, no one, like, and obviously Isak's been in the bloody headline as well. That's been as big a frustration of anything else. And the one player that we don't want to sell is the one that bloody everybody's talking about. Like Aston Villa turning down 60 million for Watkins. I think Ollie Watkins. God, losing my brain here. I don't know where you think that is. 60 million for Ollie Watkins. Is that right or wrong? He's 30 years old now, and obviously he's a good striker. But for a 30-year-old, like, Isak's still only 24. He's got, and he's a better player than Watkins is. So, like, he's way ahead of him. And if you talk 150 for Isak, I don't know where Watkins comes in that scenario. But the fact that they're selling Duran, who I would argue is probably the more up and coming player for like a long-term Villa scenario, I think if they hadn't sold, but I think Watkins is a bit of a talisman over there. So that's something to bear in mind as well. But yes, we're talking about Villa now. That wasn't the point of this. The point is that teams who aren't part of, you know, this secret club who can spend whatever they want and do whatever they want, which we aren't, are selling players, not buying players. And I think it's totally ruined this January window. I've mentioned this before, but the Premier League, I think, needs to take a look at themselves after this window. Because it's fair enough, we're going to keep the good teams at the top, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to be the good, it's just not going to be the good teams. It's not going to be a good league. Because players are choosing Duran, like 22-year-old up-and-coming star, has gone to Saudi. Like, in what world is that actually happening? Even like the likes of fair enough, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, even fair enough, they're spending more than we can, but even they can't afford to match what Saudi Arabia's playing. You're going to get an influx of players this summer window whose contracts are winding down and going, oh, try and move up the league? Oh, no, actually, I'm just going to go to Saudi Arabia, or I'm just going to go to Spain, or I'm just going to go somewhere else, because that's where you can actually get paid. And I appreciate football and wages are out of this world, 400, 500 grand. Haaland on a 9-year deal, 500 grand. Like, it is ridiculous. But that's always been football. It's always up, up and up. It's a high-valued product. It makes a lot of money, so you pay people a lot of money. It's landed us in this place where we can't compete with the own teams in our league financially because of FFP, and then we can't compete and then the Premier League can't, because of the restrictions they put on, can't compete with other leagues. So it's just been an absolute nightmare. Can Newcastle do something in the last day of this window? Well, you might think from my laugh that I'm probably thinking no, to be honest, and I think it's been some time. I think the hope was that Newcastle saying we can't pay this, that was all a big smoke screen, and we're going to actually do something. I think you just look around in the league and just see that no one's doing anything, and people are holding on to players. Like, even if we tried to put in a reasonable bid for a player, I think teams are not selling because they know that the availability of players is so low that you can't really replace. I think there's always time and there's always a possibility. I don't think Newcastle have no money. I just think Newcastle know that if they go to spend this January, it's going to be over the odds, and to get us back on an even keel, it means we're just going to have to sell again in the summer. I think the way Newcastle are working is that if we can just make it through this Jan without spending, get into the summer, the availability of what to spend can open up. And it means that hopefully we can get better deals. One of the PSR years drops off. It means we've got a bit of money, and it means we don't have to go into the summer. If we spend this Jan, I think we'll go into the summer looking to sell straight away. I think we should have done better selling now, but at least hopefully it means that we don't walk into a selling summer. I think if there's a possibility for some sort of loan deal on a right winger, the likes of a Dibbling from Southampton, who's been heavily linked, he's been injured at the moment, but Newcastle are thought to be looking at him in the summer. Can we move that forward? I think it would give us a boost. I think it would give the morale of the side. It would give Eddie Howe a boost. Eddie Howe says he always likes to spend or bring in a player or do something in a window. And this is another window gone by when we've been unable to do something. Do you want to blame PSR? Do you want to blame Paul Mitchell? Do you want to blame Eddie Howe? I think it's a much of a muchness, if I'm honest. I think we should... If I'm going to blame Paul Mitchell, it's like, why didn't we let more players go to spend more? That's the problem. Unless we've got our eyes on a Sanusi or someone who's going to fill that Almiron gap for that from now till the end of the season. But God help me, should Jacob Murphy... I'm not even going to go down the injury route. I'm just going to say loses form. Because Jacob Murphy's incredible form. And he's got more assists, I think, and goals combined this season than he has for any previous year as a Newcastle player. We've all talked about Miggy's purple patch. What about the Jacob Murphy purple patch? But you're telling me we're going to expect him to do that all season without a break, with no subs, no one to back him up? That's a lot to ask. I think Newcastle really have to consider pushing the boat and doing something for that right winger position, even if it is this kind of loan to buy scenario. Get him in on loan for now so we don't have to worry about FFP, and then the money will instead be paid in the summer. And as long as it's over that 5-year deal or whatever, at least we're not having to pay it all up front. If it's a 50 million bid, it's 10 million this summer, 10 million next summer, 10 million next summer, 10 million next summer. I think it's cautious why Newcastle haven't, but we're in such a good place. We're fighting for a European football spot, I'll say. Whether that be Champions League, Europa League Conference, we're fighting for a chance to be in a Carabao Cup final, and to just not strengthen it all. Like, look, if Newcastle get to a final and we get Europa League or whatever, I think we'll look back and go, you know what, we did all right there. We achieved with a small squad. But if we look back and go, you know, we didn't win a cup and we didn't get Europe, and it all fell apart from January because we didn't strengthen, it'll be even harder to swallow then at the end of the season than it would be for us to swallow it now, to be honest. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Obviously, it is a big deadline day tomorrow. Christ knows whether it's going to happen. You can let me know your thoughts down below on the deadline day. Can Newcastle do something now to bring someone in? What are your thoughts on Miggy leaving? Jamie Miley leaving, Longstaff, what the hell's going on with Trippier, Wilson? They were linked to leaving a year ago. Once again, players we should have let go at the time and didn't let go, and we should have. And then now you're looking at Vlaco Dimos, Kelly. Are we going to be talking in next January going, why the hell didn't we sell them for 15 million each? Because we should have taken the chance when we had it. We're not taking the chance. We're not taking the chances on letting players go. Again, this player trade and in and out, shaking it all about. Stop being so content, strangling players until they're old and they can't play anymore. Wilson, Trippier, don't get a look in anymore. Why have we held them for a year where they've not played? And I'm not saying it's the same with Kelly because he's still young. I think he's still got more time than the pair of them do. But we're talking about bringing in another centre back. We're talking about bringing in someone to back up Shaw in the summer. So what you want? Botman, Byrne, Shaw backup, Lascelles, Kraft, and Kelly. Like, who knows, maybe in 5 years' time, Kelly's one of the players who is a lot more available in the side. But who's to say we couldn't sell Kelly now? Bring another defender in, sell him, bring another one in. Be more fluid. We haven't got the commercial deals, the sponsorships, and everything else to tide us over like the likes of a Man City or a Manchester United do. Even though, from what I've heard, they've made massive losses and are still spending. So Christ knows how they're getting away with that one, or how they're doing it, allegedly. But when we don't have that right now, we're looking at stadiums, we're looking at training grounds, we're looking at bloody hotels, we're looking at everything, we're looking at stack, we're looking at everything we can. When we don't have that, players is our best way to move money around, and we've just decided not to do it. We just let Miggy go, and that was it. I think we should have done more. But there you go. That was my transfer review, really. If we buy somebody tomorrow, and God hope we do, I'll be back on and taking it all back, all 15 minutes of it. I'll take it all back and I'll tell Paul Mitchell how great he is. But I struggle to see it happen. So let me know your thoughts, comments down below on the January window. Thanks for watching. And Miggy leaving, what's to happen next? And I'll catch you later.